Do you know how to share the truth in a way that's bold, but not belligerent? That's the topic that we're going to address today on Flourish-Meant. I'm your host, Tina Yeager. And at this year's National Religious Broadcasters Convention in Nashville, I had the privilege of interviewing Peter Demos. He's a Christian business leader. He's also host of the Uncommon Sense and Current Times podcast. And he's the author of many books, including the newest one, Bold, Not Belligerent. He's got so much to share with you about how to stand for the truth without stepping on people. So I can't wait to share this interview with you. I hope that you enjoy it. Make sure you listen all the way to the end to get all of the amazing insights from our conversation. Welcome, Peter. I'm delighted to have you on Flourish-Meant today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on.
Let's talk a little bit about what it means to be bold about your faith without being pushy, overbearing, condescending, and condemning.
Well, I think the easy thing to do, the way to look at being bold, is not actually modeling culture. Right now, when we see it out there, we see people screaming, we see them yelling, we see them wanting to argue, we see them doing all this other stuff. You see in the social media, so-and-so owns so-and-so else. And in reality, being bold is there's two steps to it. The first step of it is we have to actually start doing the spiritual disciplines to prepare ourselves to be bold, such as forgiveness, repentance. We have to get out of debt. We have to pray. We have to do certain things like that so that when the time comes, we can be bold and we can stand up for the things that we believe in.
I'd like to start with forgiveness.
Okay.
That's a tough one. And I think that's part of the piece that's the biggest one that's missing when people go out to talk to people who aren't believers or who have different views from them. If they're coming at that with resentment, us and them mindsets and unforgiveness, how does that change the message so that it's no longer about Jesus and it's just about your opinion?
So the one thing we have to keep in mind is we're supposed to be ambassadors at all times, which means that no matter what we do, we are ambassadors for Christ. We're the ones that are showing the world what Jesus is in the moments of bad and the moments of good. So regardless of where we are, forgiveness is usually releasing past hurt. So you and I may disagree, and my unforgiveness toward my mother might come out in this conversation. So because I might have that anger, that built up resentment, and that's where part of the problem is. So it's not necessarily that I may have the disagreement with you and I need to forgive you, because I may not have any type of ill will towards you. I just may not like what you have to say. But because I have this built up animosity, this built up grief that's going on somewhere else that I did not let go, that I did not release, then as a result, it comes out in this situation. You might hit a trigger. You might say something that will make me explode in a way that I shouldn't be doing. I've been married 27 years now, but at the about 9-year mark, 10-year mark, we had a marriage counselor tell us we needed to get a divorce. We were in really terrible shape. And the reason why is because I thought everything she did was attack to me. And really it was her trying to protect herself and deal with her own insecurities, her own emotions, and vice versa. It was the same way. So everything we were doing was for our own insecurity, but it was reflecting to the other person who was intentional. If I'm not dealing with this forgiveness over here, then it's going to reflect out to them and vice versa.
Okay, I was trying to get over the sense of being appalled at hearing that a therapist would tell you to get divorced. As a therapist, that just kind of galls me a little bit. But getting past that.
I think they were right at that time. My wife changed her prayer. I was not a Christian at the time. My wife changed her prayer, but he told us right from the very start. He goes, if I can't help you, I'm going to tell you to do this. And we were that bad of shape. But she changed her prayer from God change him to God teach me how to love him. And when she changed that prayer, then all of a sudden 6 months later, I actually ended up getting saved. And we ended up we actually fought more right after I got saved than we did before. But then eventually now, again, we've been married 27 years and I'm extremely happy. I'm assuming she is too.
Well, I think that your answer to what happened when you were in marriage counseling can also be part of our answer to how we meet our neighbors, where they are, even if we have differences with them and we still represent Christ. And that is approaching it with not change them, but how do I love them better? Speaking the truth is important, yes, and I know that's what you're all about, but we need to do that in love. Can you talk about that just a moment?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of ways. We have to first define love. So defining love isn't just always approval, always an acceptance. It's not always just necessarily sweet and flowery. I don't have sweet and flowery language. Like I can try to be kind and nice with it, but I just that's just not who I am. But people know my heart when I do it. So I have 500 employees that work for me. When I sit down and talk with them and correct their behavior, they know that I'm doing it for their betterment. They know I'm doing it for love. That just because I don't come across and sound all sweet and lovey, then that makes it different. And I think, again, we've taken a cultural definition of love, try to apply it to a biblical principle, and it just falls apart. And so I think a lot of it has to do with where my heart really is. And if my heart's really not to make you better and not to do that, then I shouldn't be involved at all, because I need to check my own heart and see where I'm at. Because again, you and everybody else I disagree with is also made in the image of God. And because they're made in the image of God, just the same way as I am, I have to see them in such a way. So because of that, that's what we need to do from there.
So we love the way that Jesus loved. We love with that other person's ultimate best interest in mind. We love without thinking just of how to make this easy. It's peaceful, it's meekness, it's those things that we also misdefine in our culture. Can you talk about the difference between meekness and being able to speak the truth in love in a way that's beneficial to other people?
Well, and again, I think it's we just don't have to get involved. We don't have to scream. We don't have to be loud. We don't have to contribute to the noise. We don't have to do a lot of that stuff. We don't burn down buildings. I mean, now there have been exceptions throughout our history of that, and even recent history. We've seen the person who's killed the abortion doctors, or the Bellwood Baptist that was protesting outside of military funerals. That's not Christian. And just because someone does something in the name of being a Christian doesn't not make them so. Satan infiltrates the church. He already has strip clubs and whorehouses. He needs to go after the church. So I think we shouldn't be surprised when we have it. But at the same time, in that situation, that's where I think our duty as a Christian is to call out that person who's at least claiming he's a brother in love. Otherwise, what we're doing is we're failing him. We're allowing him to go down a path that's wrong, but we're also failing ourselves, and we're failing Christ.
There is a potential danger of coming at people from the point of view of the accuser instead of as a redeemer. And I think that's the difference we're talking about here. We want people who are mired in things that are not healthy for them to get well because we love them.
Right.
But there's a difference between that and coming at them and saying, you're not as good as me.
Right.
And putting them down and accusing them and shaming them and keeping them stuck in that place of being lower and less than.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think, and a big part of it is, and I love Greg Koukl has a book called Tactics, and I think it's an amazing book for all Christians to read. My family did a Bible study with it. We just went through chapter by chapter. And he has a lot of different questions to ask people, especially non-believers, to help them kind of just challenge their viewpoint, to soften them up for someone else to come along. And the two main questions that he uses that I use the most is, what does that mean? Have them define their terms. And then the second one, how do you draw that conclusion? What I have found, and he said this, and I have confirmed it for my own personal experience, is that most people don't know either one of those answers. And then you get to have that conversation. I had somebody who it was an atheist that worked for us, and she was a pescatarian, and she said, I don't eat, I only eat fish or whatever. And I said, why not? I'm just curious. I don't know why. And she said, because I don't believe fish have souls. And I said, well, by that, can I deduce that you think a cow or a dog has a soul? And she said, yes. I said, well, what is a soul? Had no idea. And I said, well, what is a spirit? Had no idea. And so I was like, okay, go look that up, find out. We'll have another conversation about this later. And that was all. I didn't have to do anything else. I didn't have to say, oh, you're stupid for eating fish. Steak tastes good. I eat my meat raw. I didn't have to do all that stuff there. Now, I may have thought that in my head. My sarcastic side of me may be going crazy, but the outward projection of it isn't, because my goal was to get her to start thinking about it, because it may not be me that takes her to that next step. I think too often we want to see the end result of our work. And reality is all we're doing, and I say evangelism is a bucket, and we're adding water to the bucket. You add a cup, I add a cup, someone else may add a gallon. But if you don't add your cup, and I add my cup and they add the gallon, but it doesn't overflow, then they never get to see Christ. So that's why we have to do it. We have to be able to do it. But we don't have to see the end result. That's not our job. Our job is just to add water to the bucket.
Such great wisdom. How can people get a copy of your books, and stay in touch with you and listen to your podcast?
So the easiest way is to go to my website, which is peterdemas.org. There you can connect to the podcast. The podcast is on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all that stuff. The books you can get there. You can also go to Amazon. Just look up my name on Amazon. The latest book is Bold, Not Belligerent, and it deals with the obstacles that keep us from being bold, but also the techniques and tools that we can use in order to become bold when the time is right.
So, for those of you who are seeing this on video, this is a copy of the book. Thank you so much, Peter. It has been a delight to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.